Hey, what's up, friend? If you're not familiar with my story, I end up rupturing my left Achilles tendon. I mean, that tendon completely detached as a result of playing basketball. I came back home to Atlanta, Georgia. I used to live in New York at the time. Just visited some friends, did a pickup game, and pop, I was down. And I ended up hobbling my way back to the car, trying to keep my pride intact. Ended up flying back to New York, New Jersey area. So shout out to the New Yorkers, New Jersey area, the Northeast. And while there, I found the bad news that my Achilles ruptured. And as a result of that rupture, I had to go through rehab. Well, surgery first, and after surgery, rehab. And with rehab, they got me to the point where I was able to walk. Okay, not necessarily a full rehabilitation, but I was functional. Okay, not back to where I usually was. Crossing people up and shooting J's and 3-pointers. I was okay. At that point. But one thing that the surgeon told me, because he also wanted to do a follow-up visit with myself after rehab, he says, I asked him, I said, so do you have any recommendations for me, moving forward since this is our last visit? He said, yeah, I recommend you to continue to play basketball. And I was thrown off by that when he said that, because I was thinking, man, basketball is what causes injury in the first place. So why on earth would I go back to playing basketball? At this point, I'm scared of playing basketball because I just had the left one go. I don't want the right one to go either. And he said, well, I understand you might have some apprehension, but I highly recommend you to play basketball because it will help strengthen your leg muscles, right? It will strengthen your calf. It would keep your body active. I recommend you to play basketball. And guess what? I really didn't take heed to his advice. I mean, I would play here and there, throughout the years. And this injury happened 7 years ago, by the way. And I would just play here and there, but never fully. And when I did play, it was really hard for me to jump off my left leg or be explosive off my left in the beginning. But as I continued to play basketball more consistently, that strength did begin to build. And then when I stopped playing basketball, guess what? It began to atrophy a little bit. And I realized later that I had to do more strength training in the gym to get that strength up there, if it's being that I'm not playing basketball. So what does all this have to do with today's topic? It's all an analogy, right? It's a metaphor that I want you to use if you were injured or burned or scammed in the real estate investing field. Far too often, right, when people just get started, they may not have taken the proper training, right? Shame on you, by the way. But let's say they didn't take any proper training whatsoever. No guidance, no mentorship, no training course, nothing. They might have read a few books here and there, but that's it. And that's analogous to me playing basketball, meaning I didn't give you all the backstory. I was trying to strengthen my legs to dunk and become more explosive, right? And it was working, right? I was blocking shots. My fast twitch fibers, my muscles was like explosive. I was like lightning fast, cat-like, in my opinion, right? Maybe to you, I might be slow, but I wasn't doing anything in regard to recovery. I didn't know anything about stretching or yoga or myofascial release or massages. I didn't know anything about recovery. I was just taxing my body day in and day out to the point my body couldn't take it no more. And I just happened to play a game of basketball, and bam, that happened. I never did warm-ups. I never did cool-downs. I never did stretching. None of that stuff. And that's what happened. So similar to you, right? You might have known the full scope of everything you need to do with real estate investing or business. Meaning you haven't got any proper training, you haven't read the right books, you haven't listened to the right podcast, you haven't gone through the step-by-step sequence of closing deal from start to finish. You just went out there and just tried to play the game. You didn't warm up at all, right? And as a result, you might have got injured. You might have bought a deal that was a bad deal. Or you might have invested with a partner who wasn't a good partner. You might have hired a contractor who might have scammed you over. There's many things that could have happened to you in which it injured you financially or even emotionally, to the point you don't want to get back in the game and play again. And as with my experience with basketball and my surgeon telling me to go play again, I understand your pain. It can be scary to go back out there in a game and play again because you're mindful of the previous injury and you don't want to replicate that again. right? It might have hurt you financially. You're like, oh, I don't want to do this again. I'm not trying to lose no more money. And so what you might say to yourself is that investing doesn't work, right? Which is not the case. That's just like me saying, hey, you know what? Basketball doesn't work. You know, when I play basketball, man, something bad is bound to happen. Well, it could happen. Don't get me wrong. You could get the proper training, because I'm sure you're well aware that there's professional players out there who get injured as well. But they have the best coaches, the best doctors, the best staff, the best resources available from the rebound from that injury to get back in that game to still perform at a high level. So that's what I'm sharing with you. If you were injured, you just got to get the best staff, the best coaching, the best resources to get back in the game so that you can be buying rental properties at a high level. And you can do it. And we're here to help. So if you're interested in learning how you can play the game right to prevent, to curb, to minimize the mistakes, the injuries, the setbacks, the trials, the tribulations, the bumps and bruises you may experience along the way, then what you need is just some free training and maybe some mentorship, right? And the key thing about mentorship is this. The mentor's role is not to virtually eliminate mistakes. As I shared, there's professional basketball players who get injured, right? Even when they're in playoffs, they get injured. You're aware of this. Even they have the best doctors, the best training staff, the best physicians, the whole 9 yards, physical therapists, the whole 9 yards, shooting coaches, the whole 9 yards. They still get injured. All right, so a mentor's job is not necessarily to eliminate mistakes, but to minimize them. But it starts first with the free training. All right, so I have a free training for you guys. All you have to do is just check the link below to learn more. All right, as always, guys, this is to your success. Earn passively, live passionately. Peace.